परमार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दाय तपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तन्न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः।
Om Gurubhyo Namaha. We continue with chapter 4, Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, the yoga of knowledge, of renunciation, of action. Here is the essence of the verses 26 and 27, translation and commentary by Maharishi Ji. Srotradini indriyani अन्ये संयमाग्निषु जुह्वति शब्दादीन् विषयान् अन्ये इन्द्रियाग्निषु जुह्वति. Next verse. सर्वाणि इन्द्रियकर्माणि प्राणकर्माणि च अपरे आत्मसंयमयोगाग्नौ जुह्वति ज्ञानदीपिते. Here is the English translation. Verse number 26. Some offer hearing and other senses in the fires of control. Some offer sound and other objects of the senses in the fires of the senses. Next. Others offer all the activities of the senses and of the life breath in the fire of yoga, which is self-control kindled by enlightenment. I will be repeating these as we go along. Let's go back to verse number 25 where we left off. Some yogis perform yajna merely by worshipping the gods. Others by offering the yajna itself into the fire that is Brahman. I repeat again. Some yogis perform yajna merely by worshipping the gods. Others by offering the yajna itself into the fire that is Brahman. Here, the essence of this verse is that you transcend the act of worship, which becomes an offering of the worship to Brahman. Now, it has the advantage of receiving the blessings of the God and at the same time of helping to develop cosmic consciousness. So, here, by transcending, a worshipper arrives at the ultimate fulfillment of yajna. And through this continuing transcending, he develops the cosmic consciousness, the state where his every action will prove to be yajna. So, when one transcends the field of yajna and arrives at the state of Brahman, then this whole transcendence also ranks as yajna. And when a man has gained the cosmic consciousness, then naturally all his actions assume the status of yajna. And why is this so? Because such an action is performed in the state of Brahman. It is already on the level of Brahman. And so this is offering the yajna itself into the fire that is Brahman. So finally, by performing such a yajna with transcendence, then one will be able to gain evolution fast, and established in the being, he will fulfill the purpose of life. Now let's come to the next verse. Some offer hearing and other senses in the fires of control, and some offer sound and other objects of the senses in the fires of the senses. I repeat again. Some offer hearing and others offer senses in the fires of control. Some offer sound and other offer objects of the senses in the fires of the senses. Now here the fire is used as plural. It's saying fires of the senses and fires of control. And in using this word in plural, fires indicate that there are different methods for controlling different senses. Here, there are two types of people described. One is those who keep their senses active, enjoying the objects in the world, and the other is those who practice different methods of control. Here, Bhagavan is referring to the second when he says the senses are offered in the fires of control. Let me read the verse again. Some offer hearing and other offer senses in the fires of control. Here again, the word control has to be understood properly. It has been interpreted by most commentators as implying restraint, and consequently they advocate forcible subjugation of the senses. But in reality, it is not possible to put an end to the activities of the senses through the practice of restraining from feeding them. This has already been made clear by Bhagavan in verse number 59 of the second chapter. So here it is obvious that the word control means something other than restraint. So let us look at what is this something. This something has to be indeed which has the strength to calm the senses. So again, what is this strength that can calm the senses? So this is explained in two ways. First, as the proper use of the senses, which is the interpretation given in this verse. That means one properly uses the senses. And secondly, it is the process of allowing all the senses to converge naturally upon one point to remain there in the state of contentment. So we understand now that this is done by the process of transcending, where there is this convergence of the senses naturally to one point and remain there in the state of contentment. So this second path is described in the next verse. Now let me read the verse again. Some offer hearing and others offer senses in the fires of control. Some offer sound and others offer objects of the senses in the fires of the senses. Now if we take the phrase, some offer sound and other objects of the senses in the fires of the senses, here some people have their senses active in the outside world. And this is using the senses rightly for the experience of objects. So if one uses the senses rightly in order to experience objects and avoiding those that are forbidden, then it is also considered to be the performance of yajna. So this is the right use of senses. So here we read the verse again. Some offer hearing and other senses in the fires of control. Some offer sound and other objects of the senses in the fires of the senses. So again, some are offering hearing and other senses in the fires of control, and yet some offer sound and other objects of the senses in the fires of the senses. So now the meaning of this verse will be very clear. Please listen to this. Some turn their senses inward through the practice of transcendental meditation and thus create a situation in which their senses automatically converge to being. So by the senses automatically converge to being, thereby they are naturally fulfilling the very purpose of control. And there are others who do not meditate but keep their senses controlled by righteous action, and by not allowing their senses to experience forbidden things, they too follow the path of yajna and evolve to reach the Supreme. So here Bhagavan says, this is a slow and difficult process. Difficult because the basis of right action is pure consciousness. Right action without a proper basis is very hard, if not impossible. So by transcending during transcendental meditation, however, it is easy to gain pure consciousness and thereby automatically to perform right action. So let me read the verse again so that it is very clear now. Some offer hearing and other senses in the fires of control. Some offer sound and other objects of the senses in the fires of the senses. So the latter is the transcending and the former is the choosing the right path and not allowing the senses to experience the forbidden objects. And this is how they gain the control. So finally, Bhagavan is saying, take the easy path, gain the practice transcendence, practice the art of transcendence, transcend, let the senses converge to a point of the transcendent, let them feel more contented and fulfilled. And as the consciousness grows, then naturally the right actions are performed and right choices are made. And this is the easy path. Because without the experience of the higher states of consciousness, then one is liable to make mistakes and not aligned completely to the natural law or dharma. Now let's take to the next verse. Others offer all the activities of the senses and of the life breath in the fires of yoga, which is self-control kindled by enlightenment. I repeat, others offer all the activities of the senses and of the life breath in the fire of yoga, which is self-control kindled by enlightenment. Here, yoga has been defined as the state of self-control spontaneously created by enlightenment, by the realization of the self in transcendental consciousness and therefore in the state of cosmic consciousness as well. Again, in this verse, yoga is defined as the state of self-control spontaneously created by enlightenment. So it is not by restraint, by voluntary restraint, and it is also by the realization of the self in transcendental consciousness and as well as cosmic consciousness. We know by now that God consciousness is the supreme state of enlightenment, and as this state is gained, self-control on the level of the individual life rises to self-control on the level of cosmic life. Now let's look at this in detail. It is normally understood that the practice of self-control is necessary to bring enlightenment. And we keep hearing of this on a regular basis. Everyone saying you have to practice self-control in order to be enlightened. And here Bhagavan is saying this is clearly contrary to the teaching that he is giving. Because Bhagavan says self-control is the result of state of enlightenment. So he is specifically stating that self-control is the result of the state of enlightenment and not the other way around. That you practice self-control in order to gain enlightenment. Now let's go back to the verse again. Others offer all the activities of the senses and of the life breath in the fire of yoga. What does this mean? During the process of transcendental meditation, when the mind enters the subtler levels of experience, the activity of all the senses decreases, and finally the activity of the senses stops. The breath also becomes more refined, and the breath also eventually comes to a standstill. So here, this is the offering of all the activities of the senses and of the life breath in the fire of yoga. Let me read the verse again so that it's very clear for you. Others offer all the activities of the senses and of the life breath in the fire of yoga, which is self-control kindled by enlightenment. Here again we have seen that the offering of all activities of the senses and of the life breath in the fire of yoga, it happens during the process of transcendental meditation. When the mind enters the subtler fields of experience and activity decreases and activity finally stops, then the breath also becomes more refined and the breath also comes to a standstill. Now the next phrase which says, which is the self-control kindled by enlightenment. Again, if I read the whole verse, then it will make more meaning. Others offer all the activities of the senses and of the life breath in the fire of yoga, which is self-control kindled by enlightenment. So here, what does this self-control kindled by enlightenment mean? Self-control means the self remaining within itself without any deviation into the outer world. So here, the control of the mind in its perfect state means the mind remains within itself without deviation into the outer world. Now this is the perfect state of control, mind being in the perfect state. Now the lesser degree of control of the mind would be deviation into the outer world in a desired direction. Similarly, just like the mind, if we take the control of the senses, then the control of the senses in their perfect state means the senses remain in themselves without any deviation into the outer world. So, again, a lesser degree of sense control would be deviation into the outer world in a desired direction. Again, this self-control kindled by enlightenment means a perfect state of control of the self, the mind, and the senses. It means that in the state of enlightenment or pure consciousness, in the state of being, the mind and senses are set within themselves without any deviation into the outer world. And this takes place in the transcendental state devoid of any activity. So here there is neither the activity of the mind or the activity of the senses or the activity of the breath. Further, when this transcendental state of consciousness becomes permanent and it becomes transformed into cosmic consciousness, then the mind remains anchored to the state of being and entertains activity in the outer world in the desired direction. So, this is everything moving in the desired direction spontaneously without deviation on or violating the natural law. Again, this is how the mind, even while active, remains within the range of self-control. Try to understand. So here the mind is active and yet it remains within the range of self-control. It does not deviate or it does not go into the undesired direction. And the senses usually and always follow the pattern of the mind. So when the mind is in this state of self-control, naturally the activity of the senses also remain quite spontaneously within the boundaries of self-control. And this is how the senses automatically function in the right direction. Now let us look at the phrase where it says, in the fire of yoga. Here in the verse it says, others offer all the activities of the senses and of the life breath in the fire of yoga, which is self-control kindled by enlightenment. This is how, by means of gaining the state of enlightenment, the activities of the senses and of the life breath are offered in the fire of yoga. So here it is clear that the fire of yoga has to be lit first and then only the control follows. Again, the fire of yoga has to be lit first and then the control follows. And again here, what is this fire of yoga? It is defined as the state of self-control spontaneously created by enlightenment, by the realization of the self in transcendental consciousness and also in the cosmic consciousness as well. And in God consciousness, it is the supreme state of enlightenment. So finally, by virtue of this state of self-control on the cosmic level, the activity of the creation and evolution of cosmic life is spontaneously carried out by the nature of the three gunas, while the cosmic being or God remains uninvolved with activity. And here Bhagavan is showing us the picture of the inner functioning of cosmic life, and he is showing us what spontaneity and precision are there based on the self-control and how the activity of cosmic life is carried on. So here the cosmic being or God remains uninvolved with activity, and all his activity of the creation and evolution of the cosmic life is spontaneously carried out by the nature of the three gunas. And it is in the same way that one who has gained the cosmic consciousness, one remains in the being, and all the activities are naturally carried out by the three gunas. And further, here Bhagavan says, there is this spontaneity and precision in this functioning on this cosmic level, and it is based on self-control, a natural self-control whereby the activity of cosmic life is carried on. And this is how in God consciousness, in this state, the self-control on the level of the individual life rises to the self-control on the level of cosmic life. Again, the self-control on the level of the individual life now rises to the self-control on the level of cosmic life, where there is spontaneously right actions and precision are maintained. So let me read the verse again so that all of this makes good sense. Others offer all the activities of the senses and of the life breath in the fire of yoga, which is self-control kindled by enlightenment. Here ends the essence of these two verses, 26 and 27. Now I will add a few words. I will continue bringing in added knowledge of Maharshi Ji on this self-realization, God realization, cosmic consciousness and God consciousness every day adding to the verses as we go along. Now we all know that everyone is seeking. Everyone is seeking, knowingly or unknowingly, everyone is seeking. Most of the people are seeking on the outside, and a few are seeking inside or within themselves. But this self-realization has been the quest of a person from time immemorial. And so all the scriptures of all of the religions and the whole field of metaphysics have been saying repeatedly that it is the goal of man to have self-realization or God realization. It is an important goal because it glorifies all aspects of one's life. The individual enjoys the world to the maximum because the nature of his mind is now bliss consciousness, and the bliss consciousness is the basis of all experience and activity. Further, by achieving this goal, the world is made better, efficiency improves, and the man becomes more capable in the world. And now one has the capacity to enjoy more on all levels while enjoying the divine. Besides, success of the divine quest brings the height of success in the world in a most natural way, and this is how the individual life is also fulfilled. And here is the value of these scriptures. So these scriptures, the writings, have been passed on for generations, from father to son, from generation to generation. And Maharshi Ji says, the unfortunate thing is the wrong interpretation of the scriptures. Because of the wrong interpretations, one is not told the entire scope of life, and one is not told the unfathomable possibilities that lie within one's own self. Yesterday, I was speaking about the nervous system being cultured and gaining more silence. I'll try to go into it for a few minutes today. This art of transcendence should be introduced to all the children at a young age, because the physical nervous system is not subjected to the crude influences from outside. So they will be able to transcend more and have more contact with the being gradually, and by the time they are about 15, 16 or 17, then they start to live being in life. And then life becomes so much easier, so much effortless, and so much of bliss is there in the heart. And besides, they would be able to accomplish what they want. They will be highly creative and intelligent and compassionate human beings. They already have a universal outlook, and they already understand that they are cosmic, and they understand the infinite connection with the nature, all of the nature. So these children will naturally grow up to be dharmic. Tomorrow I will speak more about transcendental consciousness, and then how it starts growing into the repeated experiences of transcendental consciousness, how it grows into cosmic consciousness. But today we will look at the aspect of the nervous system which helps in the growth of the cosmic consciousness. So here we can say that the nervous system becomes more conscious. That means the nervous system, there is more transformation, and also we can say there is more purification in the nervous system, and by means of which there is modification of the nervous system. It is because of this purification and modification of the nervous system, then the pure consciousness becomes permanent. The being or the Atma reflects on the human. This being actually reflects everywhere, but it cannot be observed, and also it cannot be cognized by other beings other than human beings. So it reflects on a mountain, but you cannot see it. It reflects on a tree, but you cannot see it. In the same way, it reflects in our body, in the physiology, and this reflection can be more cognized in the nervous system and the mind. Here the nervous system is also the subtle aspects of the nervous system, which are the nadis. In Ayurveda, we say there are 72,000 nadis. And then we know the mind is very, very subtle. So here, it is here that one can cognize the pure consciousness. So just like a sun, you see that it is reflecting everywhere, but you don't see the sun's reflection everywhere. Even if you look at a tree, maybe on a few leaves you can see, when it is at its peak, you can see some few leaves shining. If it is on a mountain and if there is snow, you see some reflection of the sunlight. Then if there is clear water somewhere, you see definitely the reflection of the sun better. And this is how we say there is only one Atma and there are not so many Atmas. It is the reflection of one being that creates the effect, the feeling that there are many Atmas. So even when we refer to Jivatma, then it is this reflection of the pure consciousness along with the mind and the ego and the intellect, we call it Buddhi, becomes the Jivatma. That means it is the subtle body along with the consciousness and the prana which becomes the Jivatma. Just as the sun cannot reflect in muddy ponds, it cannot reflect on dense matter like on a mountain or a wall, so also this reflection cannot be experienced, this consciousness cannot be experienced unless until this nervous system and the mind are pure. Now again, let's take another example. Suppose there is green water in a glass and the sun is reflecting. Now you don't see a clear reflection, but you think the reflection of the sun is green. And we know very well that the sun that is shining everywhere is colorless. And if we modify the water, we take away more and more of this green of this water, then we say we are modifying the water or modifying the color to colorless. So in the same way, the reflector of the sun is being modified, resulting in the modification of the reflection. Now the sun shines brightly, it doesn't look greenish, or it doesn't look taint, or it doesn't look dim. Now it's important to understand in the same way, nervous system is clouded with all kinds of impurities. Now we know that the sun is like omnipresent. It is present everywhere, and that is the quality. That means it is reflecting everywhere and it is present everywhere, and we say omnipresent. So likewise the being is also the same. It is present everywhere and it is omnipresent. So when this reflection of the being then becomes omnipresent, just like the sun, then we call this the cosmic consciousness. So again, let's take the example of the sun. Now this reflection from the sun, when it is gaining more and more of the qualities of the sun, then what will it say? I am the sun. And this is the realization of this reflection, that it is the sun. It is similar to the sun, or it is the sun. And in the same way, this being which is being reflected, the omnipresent being which is being reflected in the nervous system, is seen as a particular quality simply because of the way the nervous system is, along with its impurities and its blocks. Now, with continued transcendence, regular transcendence, with the transcendental meditation, the modification of the nervous system keeps on improving. And then this modification is, where is it improving? It's improving the quality of the reflection. So the quality of reflection keeps on becoming purer and purer. And then a time comes when the individual reflection, the self, has gained the quality of omnipresent being, 100%. So when it has gained this omnipresent being, 100%, then we say the small self has gained the status of big self, or the small s has gained the status of big S. So in this state of the nervous system, due to it becoming big self, then this self can be located, and yet it is unbounded. Again, just as the reflection of the sun has become like the sun, and this reflection has gained the quality of the sun around it, and then it is said to be like the omnipresent sun. So the sun is shining everywhere, it is present everywhere, but suppose it is reflecting in a pond or in a glass, then this becomes the individual container. And so this individual container, so let's say for example, it's a glass of water where it is shining, and the glass of water then becomes this individual entity, and it is also omnipresent because the sun is shining fully there. It's reflecting fully there. So through this nervous system, then this reflection of the being then naturally infuses into all the senses and into the mind, and again it infuses into the ego and the mind, and they become cosmic. Now, interestingly, in cosmic consciousness there are two aspects to it. One is the cosmic aspect, which is the self, and the other is the individual aspect, which is the non-self. And the glory of the individual aspect is that by virtue of this individual aspect, cosmic aspect can be lived. So in this individual aspect, then it is by the virtue of the nervous system functioning normally that the cosmic aspect of life is possible to live on the individual level. And this then is the glory of the fully developed nervous system. And because of this fully developed nervous system, then one is able to not only rise in consciousness and experience and gain the cosmic consciousness and exist in cosmic consciousness, and by virtue of this individual aspect, what we call the nervous system, then the cosmic aspect can be lived. So one lives as being and one does the activities as the non-self. And because of this rise in consciousness, then the individual mind becomes one with the cosmic mind, and the individual prana becomes one with the cosmic prana. So all of these then are raised to the cosmic status. So in essence we can say that the rise in consciousness then is happening through our nervous system, and then in the most subtlest way through these nadis, the 72,000 nadis that are described in Ayurveda. And this is why the nervous system needs to be purified, needs to be cultured, and needs to be modified. And how does this happen? This all happens in the silence. When more and more silence is infused, when more and more silence is experienced by the nervous system instead of the usual bombardment that the way we are living in our life, continuous bombardment, when we can bring this silence, then automatically this nervous system gets purified and it gets cultured and it gets modified. And now this nervous system starts reflecting the omnipresent being, and the quality of reflection keeps on becoming purer and purer, and the time comes when the individual reflection, the self, has gained the quality of omnipresent. That means it's 100%, it has gained the quality of the omnipresent being. And again, this is when the small self, that means the small individual, the individual ego, then has gained the status of big self, has gained the cosmic status. And it is such a nervous system, we call it the fully developed nervous system. It is the impurities and it is the blocks in the nervous system that does not allow the consciousness to rise. Just in the same way we understand that there is blood in the vessels, coronary vessels. When there are blocks, then enough blood is not reaching the heart. But this is on a different scale, on a different dimension, and the subtlety is much more subtle. So I end here. It's been a long talk now. So here is the essence of the verses 26 and 27, chapter 4, translation and commentary by Maharshi Ji. Jai Gurudev, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu.